We gonna pass, moving out, little doubt. Yeah, we done with middle class, middle class.
Hey guys, it's Karger and welcome to 5 tips to improve your game sense. So, I know I talked a lot about just how to improve your ability and how you play the game in a few past videos. For example, my tips on how to hit hand cannon shots or my tips for how to snipe. I also did a video on how to win engagements where you don't have any teammates. It's only you, and it's so like for example 1v3 engagements, 1v4s. All those things require lots of game sense, especially the 1v3 and 1v4 engagements as well as the sniping. So I wanted to give 5 tips on how to just improve your overall game sense. So the first tip I have for you is, or for you guys, is know your spawns. So for example, when you're playing comp, you know you're gonna spawn back here, and vice versa for the enemy team. You guys know you're gonna be spawning in that building behind those little tubes, or trucks we call it, so right behind there. And the reason I say know your spawns is because when you spawn back here, for example, you're gonna have 2 tendencies. Your first tendency is to go over here and push outside in your heavy. Your second is to go up here, maybe aim this angle here, or push out and watch this underground part. Same goes for this side. If you spawn over here, you're probably either going to go up here and go near heavy, or you're going to go down here and peek, or you might go up here and, if you're a sniper, try to aim this angle or this angle over here. So what I say, know your spawns. If you spawn back here, you know the enemy team's going to be somewhere on the other side of the map, but you kind of want to know where they are. And that's really important, especially when you and your team are having good communication and you want to call out a lot of people. It will be a lot easier to know where the enemy team is spawning, so that you can have a better understanding of where they might be later on. My second tip for you guys is pay close attention to your radar. So obviously everyone's looking up at the top left of their screen for their radar. That's how you play. That's why Gemini Jesters are so strong, because it takes away your radar completely, and it's probably the most important thing of, I call it, artificial game sense you'll get. So for example, if I'm standing here and there's a shotgunner right behind this, it's gonna look the same as a red cone at the top of my radar, indicating that there's someone in front of me. They're not on top of me, or else my radar would be completely red, but they're in front of me. However, if the shotgunner is over here, it's still gonna say a red cone in the person's in front of me. So when I maybe slide out to get him and I peek, he can probably get me from this angle, because I know in the vicinity where he'll be, but I don't know exactly where. If I know that there's a red line at the top of my radar, I'll probably know there's a person farther back, maybe aiming this way. So it's just really know your radar, know where the people might be, and just know that if there's only a couple pings on your radar, kind of that there might be some people behind you, or there might be people away from you, and that's what we'll talk about in our next point. So for the next point is know where your enemies are at all times. If I'm over here and I see that there may be 2 pings on my radar, there's maybe a person over here and there's maybe a person by this box, I don't see someone else, they're probably going to be flanking you, and this is where team communication is huge. If there's someone over by divider here and they're looking up and they can see that there's someone flanking, call that out. Make sure your 2 other teammates that maybe are scoped in or don't know because they're too far away and they don't have a line of sight, that there is someone flanking them. It's really important, team communication, and knowing where your opponents are at all times, so that when you peek out, you know that they're going to be there. You don't know that they'll be in some vicinity that you don't know where they are. So that also brings me to my next point, is know how many enemies you are fighting at a given moment. Make sure that, especially in 6s, you're not going to be running up on a whole team of 6 every single time, unless they're maybe in a 6 stack. You're usually going to be going up against 1, 2, 3 people at a time. So you want to know how many people there are in a certain engagement, so that when you do engage, you'll be able to maybe take down 1-2 people at probably at most, and then get out of there so you don't get yourself killed. If you're 2 people strong and you push an angle together, you want to make sure there's probably maybe three people, maybe 4 at max there. You don't want to push an angle not knowing how many people are behind it, because then if there are a lot, you'll be caught with your pants down and you'll be destroyed by snipers, team shots, all that kind of stuff. So make sure at all times where the opponents are. Make sure you know how many there are, because you don't want to be peeking an engagement in comp. Maybe there's someone crouching, you don't know that they're there, you think there's only 1 person. I mean, you want to try to bait that as best you can, so maybe go in, slide out, get some information to know where these people are, because they're probably going to be trying to bait you or trap you to get you close and then kill you. And this also ties into the next point here. Point 5 is know the angles on a map. A perfect prime example of this is if I kill someone maybe right here and I run back this way, I'm going to know that they'll probably spawn down here near pillar. So what I'll do, and I've done this countless times when I'm in 1v1s, is I'll go on top of this box and I'll aim this angle. What this does is it makes it so that I'm off their radar and I'm far away from where they think that I'll be. They might think I'm down here, or they might think I'm next, kind of aiming them, crouching them somewhere over here. So they'll probably slide out, aiming this way, not knowing that I'm far away, off their radar, easy snipe. They may fall for it more than once. I've done this a lot, but you always want to know the angles on your map. Know that if you're maybe near heavy side or something and you're fighting people down there could possibly be someone over here that's maybe watching you from a distance. You won't know they're there. You don't know they're off your radar. Know your angles. Another perfect example of this is if you're maybe right here and you don't have a line of sight. Someone can just pop over and just shoot you from the sky. Know where people are and know your angles, so that maybe if you're over here and you're just spawning, don't just slide out into the open place. I mean, even if there's no one on your radar, because someone could easily be over here, maybe even off your radar, ready to snipe you. And so you want to know those angles. You want to know if you were in their shoes, where would you be aiming if you were in that position. So those are my 5 tips, and we'll recap for a bit. So first tip is know your spawns. Know the enemy's tendencies and where they're going to be spawning, where they'll be once you peek an angle and once you engage for that first time in a match. Second is pay close attention to your radar. Make sure you know your radar and know distances between you and your opponents to make better, more informed decisions. The third tip I have for you is know where your enemies are at all times. Make sure you know that there's maybe 2 guys behind this pillar and then there's 1 person on top of that table over here. So then when you peek, you'll know that they're going to be there. There's going to be 1 person over here. And this is very important for your team to be communicating so that you know what to do when you are in that situation. My 4th tip for you guys is know how many enemies you are fighting at a given moment. Know when you peek an angle how many people are going to be there, so you don't get caught, and that you make sure you can defeat that opponent or defeat those 2 people without any fear of being caught off guard. A good thing to do with this is if there are people, maybe you see maybe 3 people or 4 people here, you know that at the maximum there'll be 2 people over on this side. So you know it's a safe engagement. You're not surprised. And my 5th tip for you guys is that where we recapped is know your angles on your maps. Know where people will be hiding, and if you don't know where they're hiding, probably don't peek that and find another lane. Make sure you know that somebody might be off your radar aiming in a long lane, especially if you're going to peek that with a slide or a jump. So I hope these tips really made game sense a little bit more tangible, made it so that you guys really understand what it is and how it can really improve your game if you know how to use it correctly. There's your radar, but that's it. Your radar is all you have. So if you know things that your opponents don't, you'll be able to easily outplay them, even if they may have better gun skill or aim than you do. So I hope this video helped you guys. Please consider subscribing and leave a like down below. And if you have any more video ideas or suggestions, put them in the comment section below. I'll see you guys.